What is up, guys? Rick Kakis here. Thank you so much for stopping by. And today, for the first time during this season of Arrivals, the Grandmaster difficulty Nightfall is finally available, but with one big change. Bungie has completely overhauled the reward structure for this endgame activity. Is it finally worth doing now? Are the rewards there, or is it a waste of time? Well, let's find out, and let's get started. Now, first things first, let's talk about this actual activity. So, for those who may not know, the Grandmaster Nightfalls are 1,100 light. However, there's the challenge modifier, just like a day one raid, that is active, so you have to be 1,075 light to even start it. So if you're 1060 all across the board, you have plus 15 from your artifact, you're good to go. If you're below 1060, you'll have to have much more in your artifact. And if you're above 1075, it doesn't matter. You're going to be treated like you're 1075 on the dot. Also, the Grandmaster difficulty has a slew of unique modifiers, like this one right here, increased arc damage and knockback damage and distance. And these are going to be unique to whatever strike it is. So the very first strike that we're being introduced to the Grandmaster difficulty this season is the Corrupted. You know, the strike on the Dreaming City that people back out of in the strike playlist because it takes so long and it's pretty hard? Well, yeah, it's that one, and it's no cakewalk. In fact, my team, when we were about halfway through, had a teammate disconnect. And of course, they're not able to join back for some reason, so we had to restart. Twice. And then when we did beat it, since we went so methodically and did achieve the platinum rating for killing every single champion, we took almost all of the 45 minutes. So it took a long time to put this video together. And I'm probably still gonna get roasted from someone saying, I've never actually beaten a Nightfall, but I could have made this video in 5 minutes. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make is that it's going to be a significant time investment to do a Grandmaster Nightfall. Like I said, however, we took so much time because we were going for that platinum rating due to the reward changes, which we'll get into in a sec. But if you don't care about the platinum rating, if you just want to go through it and beat it, you could skip most of the champions. Normally people run 3 invisible hunters and just every time there's a champion, go invisible and skip by it and then just focus on doing the objectives that let you advance to the next part. That would be significantly easier, but again, you're gonna miss out on the rewards. So let's take a look at those rewards. What did Bungie change this time around? Well, when Grandmasters were first actually introduced, Bungie came out and said, look, Grandmasters are the hardest of hard in terms of Nightfalls. It doesn't matter what score you get. It doesn't matter what rating you get. What matters is the completion, just the completion. Well, they've completely gone back on that statement because now your score is actually going to directly influence your drops. So, if you get Platinum, you are now guaranteed to get 1 Ascendant Shard and a small chance at an additional and 4 Enhancement Prisms with a moderate chance at 1 to 2 additional. And there's no beating around the bush, that's a pretty significant incentive. Like, Ascendant Shards are not easily came by, and you also get like 4 guaranteed Enhancement Prisms. So the good news is that if you get the worst of the worst in terms of loot, it's still not bad with a shard and a bunch of prisms. Now, on top of that, Bungie says that completion at Platinum, Gold, and Silver now have higher chances of dropping an exotic armor item. So, what did I get? Well, you'll see I'm dead because I got completely booped off the map. That extra knockback distance certainly came up here, but in any event, as you can see, 1 shard, exactly 4 prisms, an exotic armor piece, the Oath Keepers, and then some random other stuff with legendaries, obviously, for achieving the 100k, as well as some shaders and umbral engram, blah blah blah. Really, the important part is those exotic rewards. Now, unfortunately, when we look at my exotic, the Oath Keepers, it's not even that good. A base 60 stat is pretty underwhelming, to be honest. Now, one of my other teammates got the exact same loot as I did, just a different exotic armor piece. Again, it was a little bit underwhelming with a 62 stat. And then my third teammate did not get an exotic armor piece, but did get 2 shards. Now, I should also mention that even though I was dead and couldn't pick it up, I did get the exclusive Nightfall pulse rifle that was just in my postmaster when I went to it. So, are those rewards good enough to justify the time commitment? Well, I think the biggest negative is the fact that there's still so much RNG involved. Yes, there's some guaranteed rewards, which is a huge step in the right direction, but the fact that we had a teammate randomly get 2 shards, like, that's a pretty big deal. So if you're in this just for the shards, which are absolutely a valuable item, if you luck out and get 2, you've just essentially completed 2 45-minute activities or whatever it rounds out to you. Like, if you're super efficient, if you get a strategy down, if it's a different strike, you may be able to do the GMs much faster and still achieve that platinum rating. But the point still is, there's so much variation that you can walk away with just 1 shard and the 4 prisms, or an exotic 2 shards and 6 prisms. Like, that's basically the loot of 2 of these Nightfalls in 1, and I don't think it should be that varied. Like, why not just guarantee 2 Ascendant shards to drop? And I'm also pretty disappointed by the exotic armor. There's a lot of different ways to get exotic armor. Even Xur, when he shows up, has guaranteed 60 stat exotic armor across the board pretty much. So why am I doing this pretty difficult activity and still only getting a pretty underwhelming, just normally 60 stat exotic? Obviously, it's a bit of an underwhelming exotic, and my other teammate who got an exotic actually got that trash Titan helmet that just gives you an overshield when you cast Fist of Havoc. I forget what it's called, but you're gonna have that every once in a while. You can't necessarily make it so that it guarantees you a good meta exotic because those change all the time. But I don't see why it can't guarantee you 65 stat or above. Why does it have to go down all the way to 60? It can go down below in the 50s if you're very unlucky. Yeah, you'll usually get a pretty good stat roll, but if you don't, you really feel left out, and there's just so many different ways to get high stat roll gear in the game. I mean, even the Seasons Pass gear is dropping absolutely stacked in terms of overall stats. So why can't this extremely difficult endgame activity give you a little bit more? Why can't it guarantee like almost a max stat roll? And then obviously the distribution would be the thing that matters. The distribution still introduces a ton of RNG to it. But could you imagine if I said you will get guaranteed 70 stat exotic armor if you get exotic armor in this? This would go from questionably worth it to absolutely people are grinding for. It's also worth discussing that just the style of gameplay that comes along with a Grandmaster Nightfall is not that fun, to be honest. Like, we were just using a Divinity plus double Izanagi, good as ever, because you need to kill those champions fast or else they'll regen health. Like, all of them have a stupid health regen thing. You have to stack so many different major resist mods and elemental resist mods to not instantly die to everything. Like, you'll see me just insta-die, completely full health to instantly dead from the boss. Now, yes, that makes it more challenging, but I feel like that style of gameplay isn't where Destiny should be. Destiny is all about having this amazing, customized, thought-out loadout, and if you're telling me that your whole loadout and whole build is just nullified by a single sniper shot, like, what's the point of having that build? It takes away choice, right? Because you have to run so many resistant mods so you don't get insta-clapped. Your choices of all these different synergies that exist throughout the rest of the game in terms of activities are just, again, nullified, and you're just putting on the same thing over and over again, and you just see the same builds being ran over and over again with these GM Nightfalls. In my personal opinion, making everything one-shot you is lazy development. If you want challenge, there's so many different interesting layers that you can add. Look at a raid. It's not necessarily that everything kills you off the bat, it's challenging because of the mechanics and it requires teamwork. Why can't Grandmasters be similar? There's already a lot of very interesting things that they can do in terms of these, customized modifiers, the increased knockback damage. That's something that you absolutely need to account for. That's a challenging thing that, yeah, sometimes it's going to insta-kill you, but you can actually counteract that. We had a teammate running Lion Ramparts for the Titan that allowed him to save himself a couple times because of the extra jump that Exotic gave him. And that counteracted specifically the extra knockback. That's such an interesting dynamic that I think Bungie should play upon. Like, that's the type of thing that should make Grandmasters interesting and challenging, not just getting one-shot by everything. Because really importantly, it doesn't make it that hard, it just makes it tedious. You have to go from cover to cover and take it very slow, which is what we did, but then that really exemplifies the potential lack of rewards. Again, if you luck out and get 2 Ascendant Shards and all this stuff, you are going to think it's absolutely worth it to get Platinum. But if you don't, I feel like you're on the opposite end of the spectrum. So, at the end of the day, Bungie absolutely made a step in the right direction in terms of guaranteeing rewards. However, I would have liked to see even better rewards because honestly, in the same amount of time, I can just grind 180 Nightfalls and get, honestly, equivalent rewards. I also think there needs to be a more lucrative floor. If you complete it, just if you complete it at all, you should get a guaranteed exotic. Like, why the heck not? Xur comes and is selling 4, including the Fading Engram, every single weekend, but doing a GM doesn't even guarantee you an exotic? Like, why are we being stingy all of a sudden, Bungie? I also think, and of course this is too late to do now, but hopefully they implement it for Beyond Light, that the style of gameplay needs to be slightly adjusted within the Grandmasters. Still make it difficult, still make enemies hit really hard, but rely more on those interesting mechanics and modifiers than just making everything insta-kill you. Guys, that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed, found this interesting. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickKakis. That's linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.